Hi everyone, welcome to the Ellinesscrafts channel. My name's Lorraine and I'm coming to you from the UK. For those of you that are returning, thanks for coming back. And for those of you that are joining me for the first time or maybe are new to my channel, thank you for giving the channel a shot, and I hope you do find something here that you find interesting, that you can learn some tips and tricks if I share anything that you don't know about. Basically you can join in the conversation. I like to interact with my viewers in the comments section below the video, and I also show things off on my Instagram, so do check that out. All the information as to my social media links will be in the description box below the video, so check out the description box. I also put timestamps in there so you can jump from finished objects to whips to incoming stuff, and there's link to my make-alongs and also pattern links. I try and make sure I put pattern links below the video as well. Let's see, so I have quite a lot to show you. So today I have cross stitching, knitting, a little bit of crocheting, a little bit of sewing and a bit of tapestry. So yeah, I'm going to start off by sharing with you, just reminding you that I have a make-along going on in the Ravelry group over on Ravelry, and I also have that going on Instagram. So if you are not on Ravelry or you'd prefer to participate on Instagram, then do check out my Instagram account, and the information I will give you in a second. So it's a sock along, so basically it runs till the end of August. So you've got, what, I think you've got just over a week to get stuff in, and you need to have completed a pair of socks, and post a picture of those completed socks to be entered for the giveaway. So if you have to be for Ravelry, sorry for fumbling over my words, for the Ravelry make along, you need to join the Ravelry group and post your finished pictures in the finished objects thread over there. And if you are on Instagram, you need to use the hashtag ENCSockit to me, and then tag me so that I can see that you are entering the giveaway. So I will leave a little bit of information in the description box below the video. If I haven't answered any questions in the Ravelry group or on the Instagram thread, then do feel free to ask me in the comment section below this video or over on Instagram. It's fine. Yeah, so I'm going to try and keep this video short because I do have quite a few things to share with you, and I think it is going to be a while. But let's jump straight into finished objects. So you can probably see I am wearing one of my finished objects. This is the Simply Perfect top. This is the second Simply Perfect top I've made. If I can find the bag, I have a lot of bags. I'm surrounded by bags, so I've tried to get myself into some sort of order where I can show you my whips and then my finished objects and then some incoming stuff, but bear with me, it is a bit of a mess around me. So the Simply Perfect top is, it doesn't show up very well in the picture, it's this one here. It is by Hintermstein, and I will leave a link below the video. I've made this one before, excuse me, my nose is really itchy. I've made this one before, and this is the second one that I have to share with you. If I can, I'll try and remember to insert a picture of me wearing the first version that I made up here. But this is the second one. Do excuse me getting up on my knees. So this is what it looks like. I think it turned out really well. I'm very pleased with it. It's slightly shorter than the other one that I made. It has a split hem at the bottom here, and this one, the reason I wanted to make a second version is because, let's show you the back, it's high at the back. The reason I wanted to make a second version was because the first one was I made using acrylic yarn, and when I wear that it gets quite hot, and this one I wanted something a bit cooler, a cooler kind of fabric, so I used a sheepies yarn. This is a mixture of acrylic, where is it? 60% cotton and 40% acrylic, and it's the Sheepies Soft Fun yarn that I used. There's the information on the back, and it's the colour purple. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. As I said, I made it before, so I didn't really have any issues with the pattern. It's a very simple pattern. The construction is, let me remember, top down, and I did have to block it. Usually if I can get away with it I won't block anything, but because of this top and because it's got garter ridging at the side, hopefully you will have seen that there, the garter ridging there, it had to be blocked to give it that, to shape it properly. There are variations in the pattern as to shaping, so you have options for, let me just see, you have, where is it? Right, you have the option for a straight outline, or you can have waist shaping, and there, I think there's two types of waist shaping. Yeah, there's an A-line shape and then there's an hourglass shape. I didn't really read that because I knew I was going to go for the straight cut shape because it's much easier, and I wanted something a bit more casual. So this is the straight version. The one I did last time was the straight version, and I'm quite pleased with it. It hangs nicely. I really like the way it looks, and it fits perfectly in my eyes. I did show a little bit of a snippet on my Instagram account so you could see that I'd finished it, but I wanted to save it to the video to show you actually what it looks like. So here it is. So that's that. Then I've been on a bit of a roll with making things lately. I'm trying to do smaller projects, so I moved on to a pair of socks. I was working on these socks. Let me find the bag. Which bag are they in? Dun, 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 dun. Find the bag, Lorraine. Okay, they're in my Elliness bag. And the pattern I used was my biscuit socks. I just made a slight variation of my biscuit socks by me, and I made these into shorty socks. So, get me blockers. I used hedgerow yarns for the top section, and then I realised I was going to run out of the hedgerow yarns, so I kind of mashed in another yarn there. What was it? It was the hedgerow yarns that I used was from set, I think it's set 66, the mini skein set. Let's see if I can find that label, because that is on my other, yeah, set 66. So that is the yarn label for the mini skein yarn that I used, set 66 down there, and that's where these two colours came from. And then this colourway is, why have I not got it written in there? I don't remember what the colourway was. I think that was a hedgerow yarns as well. That must have been a hedgerow yarns mini as well. I'll have to look back on my notes to figure out, but I do think those are hedgerow yarns as well. Anyway, so I think the whole sock is hedgerow yarns. These, I wanted to see how far I would get with the mini skeins, because I don't ordinarily use mini skeins, and I had a bit of a what should we say, a little bit of a spending frenzy on mini skein yarns in the early about a month ago, and I was buying quite a lot of mini skein sets, and so I thought I had to try and think of what to do with the mini skeins after buying them all. These are slightly smaller than my foot size, so I think these are likely to be around a size, what were they? 3. I think these turned out to be about size 3, so excuse my blockers, they don't look great on there because my blockers are a size 7, but you get the idea. This is what they look like. So I've got contrasting toes, heels and cuffs here. This is the stitch detail from my pattern, the biscuit socks, this bit here. Quite an easy vanilla sock with a slight twist and a heel flap and gusset style sock. So that's that. So that was my second finished object. Quite easy, but like I said, I underestimated or overestimated what I could do with a mini skein, and so then I had to improvise a bit in terms of colour matches for that project. But those are done, those are around about size 3. I know who they're going to, so I'm quite pleased with that. Next I moved on to, I really wanted to use up another mini skein set, so I came up with the idea to do a cowl, and I kind of sat down and thought about it. I wanted to use the Lay Family Yarns mini skein set that I purchased, and I've got this pattern, let's see. So the yarn I've used is Lay Family Yarns, it's Ice Cream on the Harbour, and there were, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, was it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, 6 mini skeins in the set, 20 gram minis, and I made a cowl. And this is the finished cowl. I showed it on my Instagram account, or parts of it in motion being worked on, and I've basically improvised. So I've cast on 160 stitches and done a Norwegian cast on or German twisted cast on for the bottom bit here, and then for each skein of yarn, so for the cream colour I've just done the rib, and then I've moved on to another colour and done this pattern. I don't even know what it's called, I was just making things up as I went along. So I've done this textured pattern here for the first bit, then I've done a different colour and done stocking stitch, then I've done a row of purl, and then done, this is called the jute stitch, then I've done stocking stitch in the green, then I've done seed stitch, then I've done stocking stitch again in the speckled cream, then I've done another pattern there that I made up as I went along. I think it's kind of alternated rib brick-ish, I don't know. I've left all the information as to the different stitches I've done in this cowl. I have put them on my Ravelry notes, so my project notes. So if you're interested, check out my project notes and you will see all the stitch information that I've used to make this cowl down there. If you can't access Ravelry, let me know and I will try and somehow get the information to you if you are really interested in doing what I've done here. But this is what I've done. I've added my little tag, it fits nicely and I'm really pleased with that. And I didn't use up all of the yarn, there was enough left over for me to make some fingerless mittens. So that's what I've done. Admittedly, I think I have my own recipe for the fingerless mittens and I kind of followed it and kind of didn't, but I've used the leftover yarn to make the fingerless mitts and I'm quite pleased with how they've turned out. The only thing I guess I would have done differently is for this I've done 10 rows for each colour, which is what I did for the cowl, 10 rows in each colour, and yes, roughly, was it 10 or 12? 12 rounds. Say 12 rounds in each colour, including the pearl row for this, and then for the mittens I've done 10 rounds in each colour. And what I should have done perhaps to make it even out a bit better was done 5 rounds instead of the 10 of each colour on the gloves, so that I would have like literally a matching pair of gloves, because they do coordinate, but I didn't manage to get the blue in there. So yeah, I'm pleased with how it turned out though, and I was so pleased with this one that I decided to make another one. And I enjoyed, it was a really nice enjoyable knit because I was just kind of making it up as I went along and it was just straightforward. Once I knew what pattern I was going to use, I could do that for a few rows and then move on, and I really enjoyed doing that. So then I decided to do another one with another mini skein set, and that set was where is it now? A set by Wild Rose Yarns. So this one is the Japanese silk set, and there were 5 20-gram skeins, mini skeins in this one, and that one turned out like this. It is really pretty. I really love the way it turned out. The colours are just, ooh, just so pretty. So what I did with this, I decided to stick to one pattern for this one because I really liked the way the jute stitch, which I figured out was a jute stitch. I got it from my knitting stitch book actually, the jute stitch, which is this one. This one is called the jute stitch, and I got that from a knitting stitch book. And then because I liked it so much, the look of it on this cowl, I decided to just do the whole cowl on this one using just that stitch. So hopefully you can see there what that looks like. And I thought in these colours it looks so pretty. I really, really enjoyed knitting it. Not only did I enjoy knitting it, but I love the way that it looks. And I'm hoping that whoever gets this as a gift will enjoy wearing it too. I didn't manage to make a mitten set to go with this because I did run out of yarn. Or I had just tiny bits left of, which colour? The blue, I think it was. There wasn't a lot of yarn left, not enough to make the mitten, so I didn't get to make the mitten set, but I am slightly tempted to buy the set again just so that I can make the mittens to go with it. But with this one I didn't do any stocking stitch in between. I've just done the pattern, which I really loved. It feels really nice. On the inside it's just a kind of a flat look, so it's just textured on that side, but I think it's really, really pretty. The colours are just so pretty, and I think that whoever gets it is going to love wearing it. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with that one. So those are Wild Rose yarn. Both of the yarns that I've used for this cowl and the other one were merino and nylon base yarns. And all the information about the stitch I used for this one is in the Ravelry project page for this particular project, and I'll link that below the video. So that was the second cowl. Then I thought, well, done enough cowls for now, maybe I should have a play around with something different. So then I decided to try and finish up my tapestry. What have I done with it? Here it is, my tapestry project. So I can't remember if I showed you, but I've managed to finish it up and I'm so pleased with it. So this is what it looks like. This is my tapestry cushion and it is completely done. I think I made a few mistakes. Stitch wise, it's not perfect. The inside of it is not perfect by any means, but I'm really pleased. This is my first ever tapestry project and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. It has some back stitching for the feet here and a bit of back stitching. Where else did I do back stitching? These little bits here for flyaway feathers are back stitched, and I'm really pleased with that. You can see there the detail. I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out. And the cushion back that I bought, which was the Vivaco cushion back, I have used that to attach to the cushion, and that is the back of the cushion. So I've sewn it to the tapestry project, and then I've had to go and buy a pillow to fit inside it because it wouldn't actually fit any of the pillows I currently have. The actual pattern measurement, I think it's meant to be 36 centimetres by 36, the actual cushion, and none of the cushions I have were that size, so I had to go and buy a cushion to fit inside it, which I got from my local Dunelm store, and I'm really pleased with the finished result, and that is it. So yeah, so I'm now working on my second tapestry. I'm hoping that this will either go to a good home or we will keep it. Not quite sure yet, but I'm really, really pleased with how it turned out, and it was a joy to stitch on. Very relaxing and very, what's the word? Gentle on my eyes, because with the cross stitching that I've been working on, that is quite, I have to wear my glasses or I have to wear my reading glasses so I can focus with the cross stitching. With the tapestry, I can just wear my ordinary glasses and I'm good to go. I don't have to be paying too much attention because everything's printed on the canvas like I showed you in the last video. So yeah, so I'm pleased with that. That one's done. And then I decided I haven't done any crocheting in a while, so I decided to attempt making a crochet pouch, and I made myself a zippered crochet pouch. See, not only did I want to do crocheting, but I wanted to incorporate a bit of sewing. I've never, well, I can't say I've never sewn in a zip before, but I haven't sewn in a zip into any project in a long time. And so I thought it'd be a good idea to have a bit of a play around with my sewing machine and just see if I could actually get my brain into gear to be able to sew in a zip. So I did. So I used a pattern as a basis. Let's see. Where's the pattern? I used a tapestry crochet pouch pattern on Ravelry just for the stitch count and just to start me off on the base, how to make it kind of this shape and how to get it going. And then after that I just crocheted for as long as I felt I wanted the actual pouch to be depth wise, and then stopped and then just what do you call it, fastened off. And then I went about inserting the fabric. So that's my fabric for the inside, a nice Bothy fabric, one of the ones that I bought recently and showed you. I've got the zip in there. I did hand stitch the zip in at first, you can probably see from my stitching, and then I used my machine, but I had my sewing machine set to the wrong stitch length setting, so the stitches are really tiny, so you can barely see them, but I mean it works. I did have to stitch over the ends here with the yarn that I used for the pouch, which actually I should probably tell you what the yarn was, shouldn't I? It was Sun-Kissed. I don't even have, why don't I have any yarn labels? Here it is. Oh, so I used Sheepy's Sun-Kissed yarn, and it was 4-ply. And that's what it is. It was 100% cotton, and it was 4-ply, and because it was 4-ply I used it double. I held it double to make it the right weight for the pattern that I was trying to follow. And yeah, I think it turned out really well. It's kind of a very variegated colour or gradient or whatever. I'm not quite sure how you would describe this colour, but it's not solid. And I'm really pleased with the way it turned out, really happy with that. And it's been housing my crochet hooks. And the only thing I think it's all single crochet, by the way, and I've added a little stitch marker on the end there just to pretty it up a bit. And it fits my crochet needles in nicely. The zip moves lovely and smoothly, so I think I did this one really well. I'm really pleased with this. But what I did, after doing this one, I decided to make another one with some leftover yarn that I had from, what was this project? From this top, actually. I had the leftover yarn from this top I used to make the pouch for this one. So this is the same, I followed the same pattern, but I found myself some blue cotton yarn that I thought, oh, why don't I just try and do a little thing and see if I can remember how to change colours with the crocheting. So I had a little play around with that, and I came up with this. It's not perfect, it's not, you know, there are bits that don't quite show up because I was just practicing playing with colours, but essentially it's the same as this one, only this one is all hand sewn. So my zip doesn't quite, it's a bit, my zip's a little bit stiffer on this one. I haven't stitched over the end there. I haven't quite figured out how to make it so that the that end of the zip doesn't quite show, if you know what I mean. I'm not quite sure what to do about this part of the zip. So I've got to kind of sit down and perfect, in a sense, the way to make it so that that part doesn't show. I think probably if I'd have inserted the zip a little bit, moved it along slightly and inserted that bit down, it probably would be hidden a lot better. I want it to be kind of like that, enclosed like this, but because of the way I've placed the zip, you can see the ending there. Hope I'm making that clear. But yeah, so that's what I've done with that, and I just used a plain lilac colour to line this one, and I think I might actually put this in a giveaway. This one is all hand stitched, as I said, but I think I've stitched it too close to the zip edge, and that's probably why it doesn't close as smoothly as the other one. And again, I've put a stitch marker on the end of there. So yeah, I'm thinking I might just put my little Ellinesscrafts label on the bottom there and probably either gift it or put it in a giveaway or something like that. Let me know if you think that this should go into a giveaway. Let me know in the comment section below the video. So that's that. So 2 crochet projects I'm really pleased with, and I've got those. I still need to practice a bit with those to get them, to get like a recipe that I can stick to and follow next time I want to do something like that. But then I decided I wanted to try another project. I had seen Ali from Little Drops of Wonderful make a little teddy bear, and on her Instagram page she showed the picture, and on her YouTube channel she showed the actual teddy bear she made, and I really liked the look of it. It looked easy enough for me as a kind of a new crocheter to have a go at, and I thought I've still got leftover yarn from this and this, so these two, even after making the top and this, I still had leftover yarn, so I made this. And this is called Osso Donato Amigurumi. And it's by Lucia Lanucas. That again, I will leave the link in the description below the video. And this is not quite to pattern. So I've used the leftover yarn from this. I've used the purple leftover yarn from this and put that in there. I ran out of this colour, so it does have a bit of a blip around here somewhere where I ran out of that colour yarn, but I thought, you know what, it's just a stuffed toy, who's going to care, as long as they can play with it. And then I've done I tried some, what do you call them, I've got some safety eyes, but they were way too small, so I ended up improvising and just stitching the eyes on myself, and the same with the nose and the mouth. I had a look at other people's project pages on Ravelry, and they've stitched the nose and the eyes, and I kind of thought, can I do that? Because I'm really rubbish at stitching faces and features onto toys and stuff. So I went slowly and I managed to do the eyes, and I think they're more or less even. I even made the ears. I was really impressed with how even my ears are. I just counted the rows down and made sure I kind of traced my finger across so I knew where the bottom of the second ear would be, because at first I stitched it on and they were really wonky, and then I thought, well, check what row they're on and then make sure that the row lines up, and I'm really pleased with how they turned out. The only thing that did confuse me about the pattern a little bit was when they mentioned the nose, they just said, they just told you how to stitch the nose. It's a free pattern, so I can share with it. It tells you how to stitch the nose, but it doesn't say to stuff it. So I was wondering, do I stuff the nose? Am I supposed to just stick it, sew it straight on? Is it supposed to just look a certain way or what? But then when I looked at other people's project pages, they must have stuffed it, otherwise it wouldn't be protruding like that. So in the pattern it tells you to, when you finished stitching the nose, it tells you, crocheting the nose, it tells you to fasten off and attach it to the bear, but it doesn't tell you to stuff it. So you do need to stuff the nose. It's probably common sense to a crocheter, to someone who's comfortable with crocheting, but for someone like me who hadn't done it in a while, I wasn't entirely sure what I was supposed to do. But then I kind of figured it's the only way it's going to stick out is if I stuff the nose as well as the bear. And also, I think in the pattern, if I remember correctly, it tells you to stitch on the safety eyes after you've fastened the head on. And when I went to get my safety eyes, I'm like, well, how am I supposed to get the eyes in if I've already stitched the hole up? So, yeah, I figure that you're supposed to put the eyes on before you put all the stuffing in, then you stuff it and then you seal it. I don't know. If that's incorrect, please share in the comment section so that I know, what to do next time. I do have a bit of a stray bit of yarn sticking up there, so I'm going to have to poke that in. But yeah, on the whole, I'm really pleased with how that turned out. I just haven't found a home for it yet, and I just wanted to do it because I wanted to use some leftover yarn and make something cute and get back to a little bit of crocheting. So yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. So quite a few things I've been doing lately. So that was that. Then I made some socks, and these were just vanilla socks, and I made these afterthought socks. So my normal vanilla recipe, or my normal sock recipe, is a 2x2 rib cuff, stitch as long as I want the leg to be, then usually a heel flap and gusset, heel, and normal, what do you call it? Gosh, I would say a wedge toe, but it's not a wedge toe. A rounded toe. There you go. So that's what I usually do, and I usually use 2.25mm needles and a 9-inch ChiaoGoo to do that. So 2.25mm needles is, what size is the 2.25? I think it's 1.5. Let me just check. Just checking my iPad here to see what needle size that is. Gosh, why is it not showing up? I think it's 1.5 US, but it's 2.25mm. And so I made these socks. These are, again, not a size 7, which is my UK size 7, which is my size. So they don't fit my blockers properly because I was just trying to use up leftover yarn. So I've done these as afterthought, as you can probably tell. So I've knit from the cuff down to the toe. Then I've inserted the toe using West Yorkshire Spinners yarn here, which is, what is it? Can't remember what the yarn. Don't even have a label for that. Sorry about that. West Yorkshire Spinners 4-ply yarn I use for this. For the toe, which is a mixture of nylon and wool, I think, and I use that for the heel as well, which is an afterthought heel. So after I've done all of this stitching and then added the toe, then I went back, cut a bit in my socks and inserted the heel. And the yarn that I've used for the socks is by Craft House Magic, and it's the colourway I'll Be There For You. That's her logo, Craft House Magic, and that is the info as to the yarn. And it's a stellina yarn, so it looks really pretty. It has a sparkle to it, but you probably can't see that on the camera. Oh, it's picking up. Yeah, I can see it. It's picking up on the camera. And I had this left over, so I wanted to use up the whole yarn, because I've made quite a few pairs of, well, yeah, I think about three pairs of socks before this, and I wanted to use up the yarn, so that is what I did. So those are vanilla socks, no pattern, just my usual recipe, except I used an afterthought heel instead of my usual heel flap and gusset. So that's that. What else have I got that I've finished? Wow, so the last thing is a bit of cross stitch. So technically it's not finished. Actually, it's not the last thing. I finished this bag up that I didn't show you last time. I did some sewing before the last last video, and I made this bag and I lined it with the green. This was just the plain green. The other one had green one side and then peach the other side, and this one is just plain green on the inside. It's a box bottom bag, and there you go, and all this pretty little speckled kind of colour with a little bit of plain at the top. And so I made that. Pleased with this. I made this, like I said, when I did the last one, but I forgot to show you in the last video. But my last finished object is a cross stitch project. So I've been working on the Positivity Rules by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. Had to think about that then. It is a stitch along by the Caterpillar Cross Stitch.com, and so I have just completed part 3. I'm calling it finished because I've finished part 3, and it will come up again in the next video when I finish part 4, and then after that when I finish part 5. I'm calling it finished because I've finished one whole part. So this is where it's at now. I'm allowed to show my viewers because even though it's part of a stitch along, it is, let me move this needle minder. We have been given permission by the designers of the sale, and this is what it looks like. So last time round I had finished this bit with the windows. That was part 1. Patience and Kindness was part 2 here. Patience, Kindness and Trust was part 2. Kind and Trust was part 2, and then the third part that I've just finished is the roof with the rainbow, the stars and the moon and the chimney. So that's what it looks like. So this is part 3 completed. And share, actually, has the word share up there too. So yeah, so I'm pretty pleased with that. I did make some mistakes on the roof along here and the rainbow, and had to rip things out, but somebody on somewhere, I can't remember, somebody commented that the way that they were getting through stitching the roof was to do the outline of the roof first and then later on fill it in, rather than do all the counting for the different kind of jumps on the roof, because you have to really concentrate so you don't miss a beat in terms of the stitches here and mess that up. So I followed that advice and I did the outline of the greyish colour there and then filled it in, did the outline of the red colour, then filled it in, and so on this side as well, and that was a lot easier. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how this is going. So this is, the fabric is Zweigart fabric, it's pink and it is 32 count even weave, so it's very fine, and it's my first project on even weave, on 32 count even weave, and my second project on actual even weave. So I'm really pleased with how that is turning out. I can't tell you how many stitches I've put in on that because I don't count stitches, I just stitch for the fun of it, and just to complete each section and just enjoy it. That's it. So that's what I've been doing. So that is my last finished object. If any of you are doing the stitch along for this, Positivity Rules, this one's called. I should have said that, shouldn't I? Positivity Rules Caterpillar Cross Stitch Stitch Along, and there are 2 more parts to complete on this. If anyone else is doing it, let me know in the comments below, because I'd love to see your progress. I like to follow on Instagram to see how everyone's getting on. So yeah, so that is that project. So those are all the finished objects. I think that's, yeah, those are all my finished objects. We can move into works in progress. So my first works in progress is my Puss de Bloom wrap, which I have been working on for quite a while now actually. So if you watched last time, you will know I'm using, where's the pattern? Come on pattern, where are you? So if I'm using this pattern, Puss de Bloom, is a free pattern on Ravelry, very simple pattern to follow, but you do have to concentrate because this is what it looks like. It has these pretty little dandelion. Puss de Bloom means dandelion, and these are the dandelions, and these are basically little knots. So you have to do yarn overs here, and you have to really concentrate on your stitch count, otherwise you will mess up the pattern. So so I take this out. I don't work on this daily. I work on this when I'm in the mood and have a bit of quiet space to concentrate on counting the stitches to make sure I'm on count, because I have made quite a lot of mistakes, and I have 82 stitches that I cast on, but every so often I'll find that I'm one stitch out somewhere, don't know where I'm a stitch out. I'm not going to rip it back because it's mohair kid silk and it's too difficult to see it, and so I end up just kind of increasing one somewhere else along the line just to even it out so I have the correct stitch count. So I think last time I showed you where I was, I had gone up to here. This was the marker from last time, and I have done that much. So now my shawl, my wrap even, comes around here. I did ask on Instagram how long anyone thought that a wrap should be. It's here. At the moment, my wrap is this long. I'm thinking it needs to be a bit longer. Somebody mentioned on, I think it was on Ravelry, someone else has done the pattern, said it should be wingspan length. So I'm thinking of perhaps doing that, making it like as long as from one arm to the other, possibly a little bit longer, not sure. But it is something that I'm taking my time on. There's no rush to get it done, and yeah, because I'm trying to avoid making mistakes. So if you haven't seen me work on this before, the yarn is, it's getting dark, it's getting dark, I'm losing my light. The yarn is Drops Kid Silk, and it's mohair yarn and silk. It's super kid mohair and silk, and that's it there. And it's a cream colour. So yeah, I have, how much left? I think I've used about 2 balls of yarn so far on this particular project. Let's see, no, I've used 1 skein, and I'm on my 2nd skein, and all of that, all this is 2 skeins, and I've not finished the 2nd one. So I'm getting quite a lot out of this, and I've got 5 balls left to work with, so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with those. But yeah, that's where I'm at with the Puss de Bloom wrap. I'm going to pause it for a minute and put on my ring light. Okay, so I've got my ring light shining from the side, so hopefully that brightens things up slightly. What else have I got? My next thing that I am working on is, let's show you the knitting first. So I have decided to start the right around the corner shawl. I had seen Ellie from Craft House Magic do 2 of these shawls already, and I love both of them, and I made a note of the right around the corner shawl to work on as part of my Finish 9, my Make 9 projects for the year. And so I just decided to make a start, what, about 2-3 days ago. And so, let's find the front of the pattern so you can see what I'm talking about. It's by Lisa Hannes, and that's what the pattern looks like. It's meant to be two colours of yarn. So what I've done, you're meant to use 2 different colours of yarn, and then using the pattern you integrate them. And it's a paid for pattern, so I can't tell you any more than that really. It's garter stitch. This is how far I have got. So what I'm doing, instead of using 2 skeins of yarn, I decided that this is what I'm going to use my mini skeins for. So I've bagged up all the green mini skeins that I have and put them in a bag together, and I will be using all the green colours that I have in here. So they are a mixture of Craft House Magic yarns, Lay Family yarns, Hedgerow yarns, and Back to Blighty mini skeins. Those are the ones that I've bought. So the first colour is Lay Family Yarns Pistachio. Then the second one, this colour here, is Back to Blighty from the Rainbow Wishes mini skein set. Then the next one is Hedgerow yarn from the set 66, and then I have just recently started in on Holding Out for a Hero by Craft House Magic. You can't really see that yet because it's just a couple of rows at the top. So this is where I am at the moment. It's not that big yet, but it's a triangular shaped shawl, so it's going to be a lot bigger than this. I think I'm getting close to the halfway mark for that, and I'm really pleased with it. That's where I am with that. So it's a really quick knit at the moment. I'm going to have lots of ends to weave in because I'm using lots of minis, but I don't really mind about that. But it's really building up pretty quickly because this is like 2 days of knitting, and you know, and I've done that already. I can do it in front of the TV, which helps because it's just straightforward knitting at the moment, and it's enjoyable. That's the main thing. I am enjoying it, and yeah, so that's where I am with that. Then I have also, while I'm working on that, I'm also working on another cross stitch project. You guessed it. This one is the Deck the Halls by Caterpillar Cross Stitch. I think I bought this last time, but I don't think I might have started it and done a tiny bit on it, but I hadn't got very far. I'll try and insert a picture of where I was last time with this one. But now this is not a stitch along, this is just me deciding I like the pattern and decided to buy the kit. And this is stitched on 16 count Ada. and it's Zweigart. The threads are DMC threads, as are the other one, and it's stitched 1/1. And that is how far I've got. So I just today finished the word gingerbread, and I have made a mistake on the bee, but I don't care. I'm not ripping it out. It would mean ripping out the whole of the bottom section of the bee and redoing it, and I'm not doing that. It took me, I've done from about here, all of this, it's taken me a good couple of hours to just do this section and that, so I'm not ripping it back to just correct that little bee. No one's going to notice, no one's going to care. So that is it. That's where I've got to. I think I have still, I think I missed a bit. Did I miss a bit there? No, I didn't. I thought I'd missed a little bit on the star here. It looks a bit different in the middle there, but it is actually the completed star. It's just a little bit untidy. But yeah, I'm still learning new things when it comes to my cross stitching. I am learning, practicing the pin stitch start on this one. The back of it doesn't look great, but you know, every now and then I get a knot on it and I can't undo the knot. Sometimes I can, sometimes I can't, so I just roll with it. Not sure what it's going to be when it's finished. Maybe maybe I'll frame it and hang up at Christmas time, but I haven't really decided. I just wanted to stitch it. I liked the design and I just wanted to stitch it, and so again, it's just for fun and for my enjoyment. So yeah, so that's where I am with this one. Deck the Halls by Caterpillar Cross Stitch, and I'm enjoying it. And the little needle minder is by them also, and this is a koala. You can find that on the Caterpillar Cross Stitch website. I will leave information in the description box as to where you can find Caterpillar Cross Stitch. Then the last thing I have to show you is my newest tapestry, which is the Flight of the Bumblebee by Bothy Threads. So this one is the same as the last one. It's a Rendale design by Hannah Dale. It's on a 10 count full colour printed Zweigart interlock canvas, and it's going to be 36 centimetres by 36, so it should be the same size as the other tapestry cushion, the flamingo one. That's what it looks like. You don't get the cushion backing in the kit, you only get the yarns, so and the printed charts and the needle. So that's that, and this is where I have got to. I decided this time round to try doing the design. In the instructions it tells you to work the design first and then do the background and then add in the little dots. So that's what I'm doing. I'm going to do it as per the pattern, and I've finished all the flowers now. I've just got to work the bumblebee section. I've done a little bit of the bumblebee section, but I've done this section here and I've done a little bit here, but I need to do all of the rest of it, and then I will start working the background. But I'm really pleased with how it's coming along. I think it's a lot neater than the flamingo one, purely because I understand more now what I'm supposed to be doing. So it is working out a lot neater, and I'm going faster, I guess. I think the back is better as well. I've been using the basket stitch on this quite a bit where I can, to try and neaten things up a bit. So it's a lot thicker on the back, if you can see my stitch in there. It's a lot neater than the flamingo one was. But yeah, I'm really pleased with how this is working up, and I can't wait to show you what that looks like when it's finished. So yeah, so those are, I think that is it. That is all of my finished objects and my whips all done. Now it's time to move into the stuff that I've been buying. This is my incoming section. So the incoming section, I bought quite a few things. Because I've really got into the cross stitching, I decided to pick up and order a storage box. I bought this on Amazon. It was $12.99, which is fairly priced, I think, compared to the others. It did come damaged, but I decided not to send it back because I've been waiting for this for ages, and places like Wool Warehouse were out of stock, and I just wanted to get a box to put my threads in, because with the amount of cross stitching I'm doing, I'm I did buy some thread for the last project, the Tatty Teddy one, and I had a lot of leftover thread, so I wanted somewhere to put it because the ring thing wasn't working for me. So I wanted to stick it in a box, so I bought the box and I'm pretty pleased with it. It comes with all of these little plastic thingamies, bobbins even there, and then it's got little dividers that you can move the dividers, take them out altogether if you don't want them. This came separately. But yeah, it's stored my threads so far. I quite like being able to see them like this, and the more cross stitch I do, the more threads I'm going to have left over, and I can just put them in this box. So I'm pretty pleased with how that turned out, even though it was slightly damaged. I have picked up a new cross stitch project because I've been looking at this one for a short while. This again is a Bothy threads kit, and this is the seahorses one. It's called Shall We Dance, and I thought that would look really, really pretty in my bathroom. I really like colours. I like the fact that it's colourful. It has some background spotting as well, which is on the fabric. So this is 14 count Zweigart Ada with a printed blue bubble background, and the finished size is 26 centimeters by 26. Uses full cross stitch, back stitch and 2 French knots. So I'm going to have a little bit of a practice with French knots when I get around to this one. I'm not quite sure when I'm going to start this yet, but look at the threads. Look at that. That looks like, to me, it looks like it's going to be so much fun to work with all these colours. So I'm looking forward to starting this one, but I'm trying to get something finished before I open this one. So that's that. Then I also went and I saw a design on Lakeside Needlecrafts and I love the look of it, and I'm in Christmas mode. So I picked up this Little Love Designs Christmas pattern. Now this one, you buy the pattern and then you have to source all the threads and the material yourself. So this is what it is. And it's called Merry Christmas by Little Love Designs, and that's what it looks like. And I thought that looked really, really nice, and I thought I'd like to have a go at stitching it. It's kind of like a, would you call it a sampler? I'm guessing, I think you'd call this a sampler, but it's got like reindeers, it's got Christmas baubles, snowflakes, snowmen, and I thought that would be a really nice design to work on. It's quite small, so it's going to be approximately 4.5 inches by 12.5 inches. I've sourced the fabric, I've got the threads. These are the threads that I've got in here. Some of them I already had, but these have just come in from my latest order. So I've got those to go. I'm just waiting for the fabric to come in, which is, I can't even remember what I ordered. I think it's Ada, 14 count Ada I think I ordered for this one. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and then I can potentially start this one as well as the Shall We Dance. So we shall see. I also bought on Lakeside Needlecrafts. I got an email saying that they were now stocking Q-snaps. They had a new batch of Q-snaps come in, so I ordered the large one, 11 by 17, and the 8 by 8, and I will just play around with these and mix and match as and how I feel like I can use them. These are very similar to the other ones I've got are R&R frames. They're not Q-snaps. They're slightly different because the actual plastic that holds them in place, see if I can show you. On this, on the Q-snaps, this plastic that holds your fabric here, this bit, goes right down to the join here, so it will hold your fabric all the way down to here, whereas on the R&R frames you've got the joins here, so the furthest you can hold your fabric tightly is here. So I find at the corners my fabric is not taut enough when I'm stitching on it, and I'm hoping that the Q-snaps will be better because this goes right down to the edge of the Q-snap. Hopefully you understand what I mean, as opposed to having these corners which stop your holders here. So you can't get into that section, it's not taut enough. So I'm going to see how I get on with these, but I haven't got I don't have a fabric that is that size yet. I did have a play around with the larger size with the mistletoe one, and that works really nicely. So I think I'll be fine with those, but I wanted to get Q-snaps because So many people talk about how good they are, and I thought I'd like to see if they're any better than the R&R ones, because the R&R ones are slightly loosening now, so I have to put a fabric underneath them to keep making it grip the Ada or whatever I'm working on tighter, just so I can get it really nice and taut. Otherwise, I'm going to give it, I think I will have a try using the, what do you call them, the rings, embroidery hoops, and see how I get on with those. But yeah, so that is where I am with that. My battery is going to die, so I'm going to change that, and I'll be back in a minute. Okay, so battery changed, we're good to go again. So I picked up the last thing relating to stitching and reading, actually there's two things. Picked up some of these little needle threaders from Wool Warehouse, just to help with threading my needle. I picked up another one, but I don't know what I've done with that one. That, I think that's in another bag, so I don't have that to show you, but it's got a light on that one. I've used it maybe once or twice, so it's not getting a lot of use, but I thought I'd have it handy and maybe put it in a gift, as a gift to someone, I don't know. But I picked up two because I thought, why not? And then I have picked up a light. So I got this, I saw someone wearing one of these things in a video. I think it was a video or on Instagram or somewhere, and I thought, what is that? And I realised it's a light. So without blinding you, just showing you, it's got a light with 3 different light settings. It's new, I've only just got it, so I'm playing around with it, and I thought I'd like to have this for when I am stitching in the evening. I might like to use it for my stitching or to see my knitting or whatever craft I'm doing in the evening. You guys know I do quite a lot of different crafts, so I thought I might like to use this, and also I thought it would come in handy for when I'm reading a book as well in bed or something. You know, it might, like, instead of disturbing my husband with having the bedside lamp on, I can just use this and it will just shine the light in that one direction. So it's called, it's a rechargeable light. It's got a charger a charger lead to plug it in. It's called this. That's what it's called. I bought it on Amazon, and I can't say, it says its charging time 4 hours, lasts for 6 to 10 hours depending on the brightness setting. And that's the information there. So it's new, I'm just playing with it at the moment. I haven't used it a whole heap, so I'm not recommending it as such. I'm just showing you what I've bought and what I bought it for. So that's that. So yeah, so that's that. Lastly, I say lastly, I'm sure I'm going to find something that I haven't shared with you, but I have picked up, that I remember, some more mini skeins. So I might end up actually buying more mini skeins, but for now I'm trying to work through the ones I've got. So these, I've been looking at these for a while. These are by Giddy Yarns, and Sharon of the SCR1 TNO podcast, she's always showing some beautiful mini skeins and sharing where she bought them from, and because of her I got on the mini skein kick, so we can all blame Sharon for that. But yeah, so I picked up these. She mentioned these in a podcast, and I think she showed them, and I was like, oh, those are lovely. So I decided to pick these up as well. They were out of stock, and I waited and waited and waited until she restocked her shop, and I managed to pick these up. These are called Flower Fairy Minis, and these are the colours. So they don't all have individual flower colour names, but they are superwash merino and nylon based, and I've got 5 20-gram mini skeins here. So you've got purple, a brown, a pink and yellow colour, a blue, and the green. So the green may end up with the these greens if I can fit it in. It's probably a little bit too yellowy green, maybe. I don't know. I'm sure I'll find a use for it. It will go somewhere. But yeah, so those are my latest mini skeins of yarn that I'm loving the look of. I may even find that I will end up doing a bit of colour work. Actually, that's a good idea. Nadira Tani, not Nadira Tani, Kalisha from the Quirky Monday Craftcast podcast suggested a pattern anthology by Tin Can Knits where I can practice doing some colour work. So I may actually hold on to some mini skeins so I can do a bit of colour work, but I need to find a main colour yarn to work the main colour. It's a hat and cowl set, which is, she says it will be quite easy for me as someone who doesn't do colour work often, to have a go at and practice my colour work with. So I'm looking at doing something colour work wise with that, and probably mini skeins will be a good use for that. So we shall see. Watch this space. But those are, I think, all of my incoming things. That is it, guys. That is everything. It's got dark. Today is really overcast, so as I said, I've had to put on my ring light so that I can, hopefully you can see things okay. Unfortunately, it's just it's just the weather in the UK. It's up and down all the time. Don't forget that I have the make along, the sock along going on in the Ravelry thread and in the Instagram, on my Instagram account. So check that out. ENC Sock It To Me. Check that out on Instagram if you want to enter. Have make sure you upload your finished pictures of your socks. No, your pictures of your finished socks over on the Instagram, under the hashtag ENC Sock It To Me. A winner will be chosen from that page at the end of August, and then I'll probably notify you guys in the next video. So look out for that. I also have the Show It Off thread in my Ravelry group that you can join in if you're not doing socks. If you're making other things and you want to show them off, then do check out that discussion page as well over there. All the links will be in the description box below the video. All the pattern links will be listed below the video. I will try and link you to my project pages so you can see, so you can then go and find the pattern that way. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below the video. I do try and answer every comment that comes in. I'm a fairly small channel at the moment, so I'm able to respond to each and every comment that comes in. Thank you again to all of you that are joining me for the first time or that have come over because of Caroline's very kind recommendation over on her channel. So Caroline is from Off the Grid Needle Arts, and she posted at the end of one of her videos a really lovely, touching recommendation of my channel to her viewers, and I'm pretty sure a lot of her viewers have come over to check out my channel and see what I do. And so thank you for coming over and having a look. I hope that you've found something here that you find interesting, or I've inspired you to do something, get some tapestry done or something like that, or you know, maybe you just like the sound of my voice, I don't know, but hopefully you've enjoyed this video and you'll come back and watch my future videos. So if you are joining me for the first time and you just wanted to check out my channel and you haven't yet subscribed, and watching me today has made you think, oh, I'd like to see more from this person, then do click on the subscribe button and click the notifications button so that you get notified each time I upload a video. I tend to upload even on a monthly basis because I like to get enough time to do my crafting, and I also understand that, like me, you guys want to watch other video podcasts as well, and you follow other channels, and so hopefully my one video each month gives you a chance to see everybody else that you want to see, as well as having a quick dip into my channel and just watching my one video. So that's the reason I only upload monthly, because I like to get some crafting done so I can share with you, and I like to watch other video podcasts as well. I like to keep up with people. I like to see what everybody's doing. So yeah, that said, thank you for joining me, old and new subscribers or viewers if you're not subscribed, and I do hope you all join me for my next video, which will be in a month's time. And until then, stay safe, hopefully stay well, and I will see you in about a month's time when I will be announcing the winners of the sock along. So watch this space. Yeah, that is it. Hopefully I will see you next time. So bye for now.